Head cover, we're finally there. Whew. Al-khimaru lil-mar'ah. The khimar is used for a man, women and for a man. By the way, khimar was something that women and men both used back in the day. And the verb that comes from it is, the simple definition first of all is al-khimaru ma tughatti bihi al-mar'a mar'atu ra'saha. The khimar is something that a woman uses to cover her head. Now, we'll get more specific in a second, but when people say the Quran never says head cover for women, it just says they should take a veil or a scarf and put it over their chest. That's all it says. It doesn't talk about no head cover. Well, when you tell someone put on your socks, and then you say the Quran never said feet. So I'm gonna put it on my nose right now because it never said feet. You understand the problem with that argument? The word khimar by definition is a cloth that is used to cover the head like a sock is used to cover feet. So when you say the word khimar, you don't have to say put your khimar on your head, just like you don't have to say put your socks on your feet. Oh, thank you for that. Like, I was dying. You know. So for someone who argues that the khimar, the Quran never mentions head. Yeah, stupid. You don't know Arabic. That's why you're saying Quran never mentions head. It says khimar. There are plenty of other words for scarves that don't refer to the head. None of them were used. This one was. Let's get even more specific. A khumr in Arabic, khumr with a dhamma, is actually a turban used by men. And a specific kind. There are multiple styles of turbans. One particular style is called khumr. I'll explain in a second. Now, the act of putting a turban on for a man is called khimrah. The act of putting a turban on. And it's such a turban that's wrapped, like on top it's got the thingamajig, and then it comes around and goes under his jaw so that his neck doesn't show. And it's a long draped cloth. That is called the act of khimrah for a man even. And for a woman it's called khimar. It's also found in some dialects of the Arabic language as khimir. Khimar is also pronounced khimir with a shadda on the ra, khimirun. Alrighty, getting somewhere now, little by little. A woman that puts a khimar on, they say takhammarat bil khimar. Takhammarat bil khimar. She put the khimar on really well. She covered herself really well with the khimar. Where's that cool expression I had? Oh, there it is. How did I miss this? Oh, look, check this out. Inna al-awana la tu'allamu al-khimra. They say this is an Arabic expression. An unmarried, unexperienced woman doesn't really know how to put a khimar on. In other words, putting a khimar on was part of mature womanhood. So inexperienced girls, they would say, how can a woman, like a, this unmarried bachelorette girl, how will she know how to put a khimar on? This was a pre-Islamic expression. Because putting the khimar on was a sign of elegance and maturity for slightly older, more mature women. So they say, إِنَّ الْعَوَانَ لَا تُعَلَّمُ الْخِمْرَ. This was actually used not just to say put a khimar on, but how to behave appropriately in society. So the meaning of it as written in the mithal is, لَا تُعَلَّمُ كَيْفَ تَفْعَلُ. She can't even be taught how to behave. She's too young. She's not mature enough yet. So in other words, putting the khimra on was actually associated with appropriate behavior in society. So the argument that no, khimar does not refer to the head. It's not something that you cover the head with, etc., etc. Here's a funny one. Al-mukhammaratu min ashya. Well, tell me what al-mukhammar means. Mukhammar. Mukhammar. Is that ism fa'il or ism maf'ul? That's an ism maf'ul, yes? Everybody got that? Mukhammar is an ism maf'ul. Al-mukhammaratu min ashiyat. Shiyat is sheep. Shatun, sheep. They used to call some sheep mukhammara. Some sheep and some horses were also called mukhammara, meaning they got khimar on. When the neck of the sheep, and I'll show you, وَهِيَ النَّعْجَةُ السَّوْدَاءُ وَرَأْسُهَا أَبْيَضُ. when the sheep's head is white up to the neck and then the rest of it's black, or it's black and the rest of it's white, they would say, this sheep's wearing khimar, man. I got a khimar horse. I got a khimar sheep. In other words, the word khimar, even for animals, is for the head. And that ain't no religious text. This is like ancient Arabic. This is ancient Arabic. وَفَرَسٌ مُخَمَّرْ أَبْيَضُ الرَّأْسِ وَسَائِرُ لَوْنِهِ مَا كَانَ. A horse that is mukhammar is a horse that has a white head and everything else is whatever it is. Doesn't talk about the head cover. That's number one. Number two, the khimar's length. The khimar's length. The word khimar, before I go to them, is slightly a head cover whose length goes slightly above the middle of the stomach. So below the chest and slightly above the middle of the stomach. Women of Jahiliyyah times, we'll read this tafsir, but I'll explain the basic meanings for now. Women of Jahiliyyah times did put the khimar on. But they put it on and then they wrapped up the dangling part with the rest of their ponytail and threw it behind their backs. And it used to go down to the middle of their back, about where it would be in front. The Quran came and said, وَلْيَضْرِبْنَا بِخُمُرِهِنَّ. Now the khimar is fine, you just need to undo that little tangle situation and do what with the rest of your khimar? عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. Drop it in front. Cover yourself with it. Okay? وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ. And don't show your beauty. Cover yourself, cover yourself. The idea of khimar could be covering the front or the back. But Allah said, look, the head cover is already in the meaning. What do you do with the rest of it that's got a particular length? You throw the rest of it in front to cover. Okay, what you used to drop in the back. Okay. Now, if a ghifara is only up to the chest, let's say a head cover is only up to the chest, it's called a ghifara. The Arabic word for that is ghifara. It's not khimar. From ancient times. So you know how there may be some women that whose what we call hijab nowadays is not that long. It can qualify as linguistically. I'm not talking sharia, talk to a faqih. Linguistically, it would qualify as a ghifara. If it's not right above the belly, it's right above the midsection of the body, then it's not a khimar. Okay. If it goes all the way to the midsection of the body, then it's called a nasif, meaning it does your body in nisf. That kind of scarf, a head cover that goes all the way to the half is called a nasif. If you got such a big gigantic hijab that it goes down to your knees, it will be called a miqna'a or a qina'. A miqna'a or a qina' goes down to the knees. If it went anywhere below the knees, it will be called mi'jar. So it started at your head and went all the way to below your knees, that would be a mi'jar. And generally a cover that drapes you from top to bottom, but not necessarily including your head. It starts at your neck, but it goes all the way to below your knees, all the way down. It's called either a rida or jilbab. A long dress that goes all the way down, an overcoat that goes all the way down, a kameez that goes all the way down, whatever, that's called a jilbab. Then any old scarf, any of these can be called a ghita. A ghita could be a little scarfy thing, it could be a Mickey Mouse hat, it could be, that's a ghita. Yes? Mi'jar goes to below your knees. Ooh, what about hijab? Has nothing to do with head cover. Yep, hijab actually technically has nothing to do with head. Hajib or hijab is a masdar and it is used for barrier. It's barrier. فإذا قرأت القرآن وإذا قرأت القرآن جعلنا بينك وبين الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة حجابا مستورا. When you read Quran, we put a hijab between you and those who don't believe in the akhirah. We put a barrier between them, between you and them. Okay? Then there's the burqa. Burqa'un. A long veil that leaves only the eyes exposed. When a man starts acting like a woman, they say barqa'a lihyatahu. He put a burqa on his beard. Over his beard. Meaning dude's got a beard, he's still wearing a burqa. He's acting like a woman. They used to do this for a wuss. It's on the screen. Barqa'a lihyatahu. You guys love trash talk. Barqa'a lihyatahu. This is actually pretty interesting poetry. Alam tara qaysan qaysa aylana barqa'at lahaha wa ba'at nablaha bil maghazili. Trash talk of one tribe against the other. He says, didn't you see the people of Qais? You know, the Qais of Aylan, that's the one I'm talking about. They put burqas over their beards and sold their swords and gave them up for spindles. At least we know where the word comes from. Okay? They're arrows, right? They give up their arrows and swords and sold them for spindles. When you beat someone over the head so much, then they actually say, barqa'a fulanan bil asa. He beat him so much over the head, it was like a burqa on his head. But barqa'a fulan. It is supposed to be used with a mask. Like a burqa is a mask itself that goes all the way down, so the only holes in it are for the eyes. By the way, the burqa was used for both horses and women in Old Arabic. It has nothing to do with, it's not found in religious literature. It's a cultural term. They had this thing. Then there's niqab. You know, naqaba yunaqibu niqaban wa munaqabatan means to run into someone accidentally face to face. And out of fear of running into someone face to face and them being able to identify you, the niqab was worn. I mean, the purpose of niqab was, I don't want people to know who I am. Okay. Nuqbatun in the Arabic language is actually used for a face. One of the words for wajh is nuqbatun. And from it you get niqab, which actually covers the soft part of the nose. In other words, a niqab is here. The soft part of the nose. If it's here, then that's niqab. Okay? If it's right under the edge, you know, like some aunties like we're really live on the edge. Like they got it right here. Some even have it like here. Those are the best. Beta, I have a question. If it's actually covering the very edge of the nose, it's called a ligham. Ligham. Ligham is lower. Ligham is when it covers the very edge of the nose. So if the soft part is covered, then it's niqab. When it's right at the edge, it's called ligham. And if it's right up to the eyes, like, you know, that situation? Like the niqab actually pokes their eye every time they blink. That is actually called not with a sin, with a sad, waswasa. That's called a waswasa. When the niqab is high up and it's right at the eyes, that's called waswasa. And if it's just, if some women thought that their face was really beautiful and they thought their opinion was that their lips are particularly attractive, so to cover the lips specifically, they used a litham, is a lip cover, because lathima, the verb actually means to kiss. So litham is the lip cover. Okay? The reason I'm giving you this fun vocabulary is to help you understand and remind myself that the Arabs are unbelievably specific when they come to talking about clothes. And the Quran doesn't just use a random word that is subject to multiple interpretations as far as what it could possibly mean, because the Arabs are ridiculously clear about that. Okay? There's all this stuff to pick from. Okay, so when the khimar is used, anybody argues, well, the Quran's kind of ambiguous about that. Like, the only thing ambiguous is your knowledge of Arabic, my friend. Quran's not ambiguous, and neither is Arabic. Now, some comments that are interesting to note. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu is from the tribe of Hudayl, and that tribe actually believed that everything from a woman should be covered even before Islam. Some of their influences were actually of Jewish origin of that tribe. And some of the Arab Jews were of a particular denomination, which believed that even if a pinky of a woman shows, it's the same as zina. So they were pretty extreme. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud is mentioned specifically because he was of the opinion that the khimar includes covering the face. And he was the only one of that opinion. The vast majority of the ulama didn't subscribe to that opinion classically. Among the Sahaba, there are virtually nobody else that can be authentically traced. So there are reasons for saying that. Some ulama commented if a woman is particularly beautiful, she should cover her face, etc. But that was their precautionary advice. It wasn't something that they said is necessarily from Sharia itself. It was a recommendation that they had, right? So the word khimar, linguistically at least, doesn't cover face cover. Now in Sharia and fiqh discussions, is there a debate about that and a commentary about that? Above and beyond what's been described in the ayah itself, yes, of course, and we respect that, and that's a separate issue. Incidentally, just talking about my personal life, my wife came to the conclusion that it's mubah, meaning it's acceptable, and it's not necessarily like an act of worship, but she felt comfortable with it. And it's fine, And there are others who mubah. Ibaha means to give permission. So it's allowed, it's fine. Some consider it mustahab, some consider it preferred, some consider it fard. Some consider it absolutely wajib, etc., etc. Some say it depends. If society is getting really bad, then you should wear it. Otherwise, you shouldn't have to wear it, etc. Right? But so there's debate about that. But the khimar, there's no debate. You can have a conversation about niqab, about litham, about those words. Yeah, okay. You can have a conversation about ligham, burqa. Sure, let's have those conversations. But jilbab and khimar, that's clear. It's done. That case is closed. You can move on. So that's the quote of Imam Malik rahimahullah, who said, "Al-qina'u bin nahar mudillah wa bil layli riba." To cover the face, that's also another meaning of al-qina'. To cover the face in the daytime is mudillah. It's actually embarrassing to others, meaning the other feel uncomfortable, and at nighttime it's suspicious. Interestingly, Sheikh Abdullah Adhami, if you listen to his Family and Society, he talks about the universality of veiling, meaning veiling is something that was found in multiple cultures across the world, and for different reasons, most of the time to give nobility to women. Okay, I didn't give you the language of Jaib, and the ayah was وَلْيَضْرِبْنَا بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. So al-Jaib al-Tawq bil-Unuq was-Sadr, it's the opening of the neck and chest, and the middle cavity. That's literally called Jaib. That's why the word Jaib, which means pocket, got coined, because it's on your chest, typically, the pocket. Okay? The opening, in Old Arabic, the Jaib was the opening of a shirt. Okay? And when we learn the tafasir and the history of the women of Arabia before Islam, we're going to learn that Medina was a bad place, yo. Medina, some bad stuff going down. Yeah, it was tough. Like socially, the women's situation wise, they had a lot of scandalous ladies, and they had shady red light districts and stuff. And yep, Medina before Islam. When the Prophet ﷺ came there was all this stuff there. And so women would dress up, and they would put heavy jewelry on, and really bling earrings on, and wear low cut dresses and walk among men to get their attention. And they would have special markings on their homes to let them know that they're in the wrong kind of profession. There was that stuff going on in Medina when the Prophet ﷺ moved there. That stuff was found within the people of the Christians. The Ahlul Kitab had this phenomenon in Medina. So when we talk about Medina being like this sacred place, it became sacred because the Prophet cleaned up that city, man. It's not like, it wasn't like an ideal place. It was a shady spot. So read some of the tafasir of the context of some of these ayat. You'll find some, I was sitting there going, what? Wife's like, quiet, baby, sleeping. I was like, what? I was reading and going, no. And I read it, I was like, am I allowed to read this? This is really bad. You know. By the way, because it refers to your chest cavity and this opening right here, right? This, the chest. Then from it, some expressions were used. وَهُوَ دَنِسُ الْجِيب, they say, or jaib in Arabic. This person's got a foul heart. But they said, referring to his chest cavity, he's got a foul chest cavity, meaning he's got a foul heart, you know. رَدَعَ جَيْبَهُ عَنْهُ, he cleared his heart of him, like he has nothing left in his heart for him. And then when you enter into a country or a land, usually they had these gates, right? These giant gates when you enter into a city. They were also called Jaybul Ard, so that you go through them to enter into that city, okay?